We've got this C63 in today. This is a car that I've looked after since I first opened. I serviced it a while back, and we also put new injectors in it, and a customer took it on a road trip to Wales, and it was fine for a while, and he was driving along, he got a low coolant warning, and he didn't think much of it. He thought maybe it's just slightly low on coolant, but shortly afterwards it started to misfire. So he pulled over, checked the coolant reservoir, and it was completely empty. At that point he called recovery, and he's had it recovered to us, and we're going to diagnose what has happened to it. So I suspect, and the customer suspects as well, that it's probably broken a head bolt, which has then caused the head gasket to fail. So this is an early pre-facelift C63. It's on a 58 plate, and they were known for breaking the tops off the head bolts, and this is within the range. There's a certain engine number, and in theory if the engine was made before that it has the old head bolts, and if it was made after that it has the updated version. This is before that number, so it should have the old head bolts. Admittedly most of them have been replaced by now, but not all of them, so we'll strip it down and we'll see what we find. We're going to start with the most basic checks. We will check the coolant level and confirm that it is actually low. We'll remove the oil cap and the dipstick to look for any signs of coolant that has mixed with the oil, and then we'll also plug in and read the fault codes to see what cylinders have been misfiring. As you can see, the coolant reservoir is completely empty, so it's lost probably at least a couple of litres of coolant, and there's clear indication that there is coolant mixed with the engine oil based on what we can see from the oil cap and the dipstick. So we can be fairly confident at this point that the head gasket has failed, and now we're going to have to strip it down further to diagnose exactly why. We're just running a scan to check the fault codes. Just using the top DOM for this one because all I want to do is read the codes, so we don't need to use Zentry. Scan the car for codes. There's actually no codes in the engine, surprisingly. I was expecting to see misfire codes, but they may have been cleared before it got to me. I think the best thing to do now is we'll strip it down, we'll take the spark plugs out, and we'll put the camera down the cylinders and see what we can find, and then we'll go from there. So I've removed the air boxes, coil packs, and the spark plugs, put the camera down the cylinder and inspected them. I can't see any kind of catastrophic damage, but in one cylinder it does look like I can see kind of a strand of the head gasket, which doesn't look right at all, and there's quite a lot of carbon in a few of the cylinders. So at this point, with what I can see in the cylinders plus the amount of coolant that is clearly in the oil, I am confident that the head gasket, or at least one of the head gaskets, has failed, and the only way to prove it 100% is to remove the cams and inspect the head bolts, because as we said earlier, I suspect a head bolt has failed. So that's what we'll do next. We'll get the rock covers off, get the cams out, and inspect the head bolts. So back on the C63 today, I've told the customer that I'm going to strip the top end down today and hopefully 100% diagnose what has happened. Like we said previously, we suspect it is a head bolt, and to be honest, I've pulled this driver's side rock cover off. It looks okay. I mean, the cams are quite stained. I would maybe benefit from a couple more oil changes, but you can see all this milky oil where the oil and coolant is mixed. And to be honest, before I even get the cams out, you can just about see the head bolts just down there. Big Torx bolt, that one's got a load of milky coolant in it. But then if you come across to the next one, you should be able to see that the head of the bolt is no longer there, which is what we suspected. Like we say, it is a common issue with these earlier M156 engines that use the Torx head bolts, and then they updated them on the later engines. This one is within the range to have the early head bolts, which it does. That is it confirmed. We will now have to pull both heads off, inspect everything as we go, and then new head gaskets, new head bolts, and kind of build it all back up. So I'm going to get cracking stripping it down. I've now got both rock covers off, both front top timing covers, and I've got the engine timed up and locked in place. So the easiest way to do it, I find, is to remove the auxiliary belt and then remove the small idler pulley, which sits just above the crank pulley, because it actually covers the timing mark on the crank pulley. But if you take those out of the way, you can then set your crank pulley to 40 degrees after TDC. With that pulley removed, you can see the line nicely, so there's no lock-in tools for the crank. If we come at the top, I've got these timing covers moved to the side. They're still connected currently. You have to be careful with these because the plugs are the same on both of these wires, so you can mix them up and it will give you fault codes when the engine's back and running, so it's best to mark them. For now, I've just moved them to the side, which if you were just doing cam adjusters or top end related stuff, that would be fine, but for this job I am going to have to remove them, so I'll mark them up as well. As you can see, got the timing tools in, got got this brace in here which goes onto the hex part, or sorry, just in front of the hex part of the cams, locks them in place. Bar in the back. Now, even when the engine's perfectly timed up, to get this bar in, you do have to give the cams a little bit of a wiggle. So you can just stick a spanner on the front, or on this piece here, you just need a thin spanner to get in there, because there is always a little bit of play in the adjuster. So yeah, give the cams a little rock back and forth and you'll get that back plate in. And then also got this plate on the front that lines up the pulse ring part of the adjuster. I use 2 sets, as you can see. So they're genuine Mercedes timing tools. I use 2 sets because I like to be able to lock both banks at the same time. You can do the job with 1 set, but the issue I find is that you set this side, for example, and then you set the other side. It can be hard to be 100% sure that the engine didn't move slightly in between setting the 2 banks. So at least this way, genuine tools, I know they're right. They're not some cheap kind of ones off the internet. And I can lock both banks at the same time. I can be 100% sure the timing is correct. And it's also good while stripping this engine apart to do this and just confirm that the timing is okay. I didn't expect to have a timing issue, but it's always good to just confirm it when you're taking it apart. So next step will be put the little tools in the back of the gear. See that this cam adjuster gear is split to take up kind of the preload on the gear. So we need to put the little tool in the back that lines those up. We'll undo the 4 bolts on the front of the cam adjusters and get those, get the adjusters off, and then we'll remove the cams. I've got the cam variators and the cams out of the side with the broken head bolt. Very important to make sure you find these diamond washers and don't let them fall down into the sump. So there's the cams, there's all the cam caps all in order because they're all numbered. So this will all get a good clean before it goes back in. And now I will show you the broken head bolt. I'm a little bit further along now. I've stripped some more parts out, but I will show you the head bolt. So see that one down there, they are Torx bolts. So you can see the oil and coolant sat in the head of the bolt. And then if we come across this next one, you can see the head of the bolt has popped off and just left the stud in there, and the head has actually fallen down and is just resting in there. So fortunately there's nowhere it can go. It can't really get into the engine. It tends to just fall off and sit within the casting of the head. So I've now got cams out of both sides, all the variators off, inlet manifold off. Started taking the secondary air valves off. Just noticed this idler pulley has seen better days. So again, quite a common issue with these engines is that or any Mercedes engine for that matter, is that the idler pulleys fail, the bearing fails, and then it can shred the belt. I will recommend whilst it's off that we do all the pulleys on the front of the engine and the belt. We'll probably do the PCV as well. Fairly common for them failing and kind of breathing too heavy. Whilst the inlet manifold's off, it makes sense to do that. And I think next step is to get it on the ramp, drain the remainder of the coolant out, get the oil out of it, and I can get this oil filter housing off, get this secondary air valve off, and also the exhaust, and just work towards getting both cylinder heads off. So, jumping forward quite a way with this job, partly because I lost some of the footage, partly because I forgot to film some. I decided, easiest way to do this job and to take both heads off and fully refresh both heads was to just pull the engine. Drop the gearbox out the bottom, pulled the engine out the top, stripped it down, got it on the stand. I then removed both heads, sent them to my local kind of machining / engine building company, and they stripped the heads, gave them a very light skim, replaced all the valve stem seals, and relapped all the valves. The exhaust valves were ground slightly because they were just very slightly pitted. They come back to me built up, ready to go on. I have now got the heads back on, all new head bolts in, forked up, obviously new head gaskets, and the cams are back in. The cam adjusters are rebuilt with 63 Motorsports plates, original cams and original lifters. They are in good condition, and we are being slightly conscious of budget, although this is a expensive job. We kind of had to draw a line somewhere. Everything's back together. I'll show you how it looks now on the stand, and we're just building up ready to go back in. This is the engine, both heads back on, covers back on. Unfortunately these metal covers always look a bit grubby. Need to get the front end cleaned up, water pump, oil filter housing back on, and then get the loom back on. We got new exhaust manifold gaskets. One of the exhaust manifold studs snapped, so that's been drilled out and replaced. The plan today is to get this built up and drop it back in the car. Customer wants the car back fairly soon, but we've got a good amount of time to make sure everything's right and put some miles on it before it goes back. Just to add, I do intend, when I get time on one of these, to fully film the process of rebuilding the cam adjusters, like removing the camshafts and doing the lifters. It's just I stayed late one evening to make some headway on this engine, and I rebuilt the adjusters and forgot to film it. So next time we get one in, we'll try and do a complete step-by-step, not so much a guide, not a how-to guide, but just a video showing the process of what we do and why we do it. Just an update on C63. Again, I apologise because I've been terrible at getting footage of this one, and as you can see, got it all built back up, got it back in. I've just done the first start and I'm just setting all the fluid levels, engine oil, coolant, power steering, put the AC gas in it, and just had to top up the gearbox oil because we lost a little bit when we took the gearbox out. But run up to temperature once, seems all good so far. We're going to flush the oil once we put some miles on it because it's still a little bit creamy. Obviously there was still a little bit of oil and coolant mixed in the sump, which we couldn't get out unless we fully disassembled the engine. It's got fresh oil in it, it's got a fresh oil filter. I'm going to put some miles on it in the next couple of days, and then before it goes back to the customer I'm going to flush it again. And then I'd probably recommend, to be honest, that he puts 1,000 miles or so, and then we do another oil change just to get any kind of remnants of that coolant out of the oil. No engine lights, no fault codes at all, which is all good. So we're just going to bolt up the last few trims and the exhaust kind of braces underneath, and then we will take it out on a road test. So final update on this C63. Engine's all back in, all built back up. Fired it up yesterday, let it warm up, and everything was good. No fault codes, no warning lights, no leaks. So all good to go. Took it on a road test yesterday, let it cool down overnight, took it on road test again today, so we've put about 50 miles on it now. Had it back on the ramp, checked everything over, and it's all good to go. So customer's going to come and collect it later today, and I believe he's taking it on a bit of a road trip next week. So it'd be good to get some miles on it. We ran it up on new oil. I've done about 50 miles in it. I've then dropped the oil again just to get any kind of build lube out of the oil, and also it was still a tiny bit milky from some of the oil and coolant mix that was sat in the sump that we didn't get to because we didn't rebuild the lower end. So it was a little bit milky. Put 50 miles on it, dropped the oil, and then refilled it again with a new filter, and it's immaculate now. That is all good. I'm just giving it a wash off, and now it's about to rain. Just got a little bit dusty from the time it's been sat here. So just a little recap on what we have done on this one. Came in originally with a low coolant warning and misfiring. We fairly quickly realised that it had broken a head bolt, because as we know it's a common issue on these early M156s. So broken head bolt, released the pressure on the head gasket and allowed coolant and oil to mix. Customer knew about this issue, so he turned the engine off and it didn't do any damage. Took the engine out on the stand, stripped it, both heads off, sent the heads to our local engineering company, carried out a very light skim, stripped them, so all the valves and springs out, cleaned them to remove all the carbon, new stem seals, built them all back up, and then I have reassembled this basically all back to stock. New head gaskets, new head bolt, PCV valve whilst we were in there, 63 Motorsports plates in the cam variators. Cams and lifters went back in because they were all in good condition, and every nut, bolt and seal required. We have covered the majority of the major issues on this engine. Engine mounts were okay. It's had a new chain tensioner, rocker cover gaskets, front cover gaskets, everything that was required. So it really is now a very good example. It had injectors a few months ago. Pretty much everything that you can do to one of these has been covered. So I'll just show you around it now, just giving it a good clean off. It's a very nice example considering it's a early 2008 car. Just giving the engine bay a little bit of a wipe down now. Shame that the covers cracked slightly. I think someone tried to pull it off and cracked it, but yeah, overall a very nice example. If you've got a C63 or any Mercedes with an M156 engine, feel free to drop us a message if you need similar work to this one, and if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.